Hello, this is Georgia Court.
Hello, Georgia.
Welcome to all of you, and anyone who is not on mute. Please mute yourselves right now. There are going to be a lot of people on this call, and that way we can avoid the extraneous noises that are in the background, dogs barking, doorbells ringing, your kids asking where lunch is, that kind of stuff. So if you're not on mute already, I really ask you to do that. What's going to happen today is that we are going to have a reading by 4 wonderful poets. And at the end of the reading, I'm sure we will be happy to invite you to unmute and to ask questions and participate. And be mindful of the fact that there really are a lot of people on this call. I don't have the count right now, but I'm going to guess it's at least 60 at the moment. And there will be more coming in as we go. So just bear that in mind with your muting and so forth. Okay. At the end of this reading, I will let you know what's happening next in the poetry realm with Bookstore One, and there are a couple of interesting things happening anyway. But first, let me introduce our poets. I'm going to introduce them in the order in which they will be reading. I have very short bios for each of them. I will read through those. The first poet then will start her reading. Each will read for roughly 15 minutes, and then we'll simply pass it on to the next person. And when all is done, I will come back in and join you and ask for questions. You could also, by the way, if you wanted to, put questions in the chat, and I can keep an eye on that as we go. Okay, our first reader is going to be Mary Saily. She retired at the end of 2014 after selling her consulting firm to Price Waterhouse Coopers. While wintering in Florida in 2017, she discovered the joys of writing poetry while taking a class. She has been composing poems ever since, drawing on her life experiences as well as the knowledge of poetry gained in the 1960s while pursuing an undergraduate degree in English. Mary now lives in Sarasota with her husband and enjoys being a part of a group of aspiring poets. Our second reader will be Carol Sundberg. She started writing poetry in a master's program in Minnesota in 1981, and she has never stopped. She worked with Carol Bly, Michael Dennis Brown, Deborah Keenan, and other superb writers who inspired her to reach deep within and share her keen observations of life. In the late 80s, she relocated to Boca Grande during winters and found a community of writers called the Live Poet Society that for 20 years pushed each other to write and to publish. In 2010, she moved to Sarasota. She now shares her knowledge of grammar by tutoring adults in Newtown who are studying to pass the GED. Liz Kelner Pozen will be our third reader. She's an artist and retired psychotherapist. Her second book of poetry, Salami, was published in June of this year. Liz divides her time between Massachusetts and Florida. And our final reader will be Don McLagan. Don is an entrepreneur and poet. He's the author of 2 books of poetry, Fragments in a Glass Bowl and Tug at the Knot. And by the way, his books of poetry are available for sale at the bookstore, so you can call or go online and get those. In the tech world, he has been a founder and executive in 5 companies in the Boston area and is a mentor to startup CEOs. Don lives and writes on Chappaquiddick and in Sarasota. Please welcome our first reader, Mary Saily. Mary, you'll need to unmute yourself.
Yes, I just did. Thank you, Georgia, for your introduction and for the opportunity to read our poems to such a large and we hope appreciative audience. The The ones I've selected reflect my childhood in Michigan's Upper Peninsula, my retirement in Sarasota, and a few things in between. Grandma. Do I have to? My brother would ask as we approached her house. Shorter, thicker than the long, wispy brush of our mongrel cat. Softer than Daddy's 2-day growth before he shaved for Sunday services. Grandma's whiskers tickled. Her sloppy smooches, wetter than the rough, raspy licks of our collie, dampened our small lips. We learned to lean back, shorten the attack of her overwhelming welcome, made more palatable by Grandpa's dry peck on the cheek and knowing wink. Waters of childhood. Visit the abandoned homestead tucked among poplar, pine, and birch off the main road, next to the farm where my father grew up fishing in a clear, willow-brushed stream. Walk the weed-sprouted lane to the wild meadow, once a well-tended garden. We'd go each summer to pick strawberries, gather sweet William, and, if lucky, harvest crisp asparagus. Enter the ravaged, plundered house, smell musty cedar, moldy mattress, see sagging cupboards, rusty pipes leading nowhere, step over piles of rubbish, items deemed unworthy by thieves. Look at the room where people gathered, the shadow where a carpet lay, tattered songbook, mute piano, too heavy to cart away. Hear, if you can, voices singing while a smiling young woman plays. Keep going back to the stream, the meadow, the curious comfort of dilapidated sameness. Onion soup. Each November, while dead leaves turn brown and crunched underfoot, our small Northwoods town came alive as red hunting jackets invaded our cafes, bars, and resorts. At age 14, I shared in the windfall this influx created, joyful and jittery at the prospect of learning the proper way to serve dinner to deer hunters from Chicago. Men dressed each evening in starched shirts and pleated pants, a show of respect for their imported French chef, the most delectable dishes ever to appear in the lodge's Notting Pine dining room. My addiction to the pleasures of food began that week, my ripening palate seduced by luxurious leftovers. The most momentous, Jack's onion soup. Its heady aroma enticed, its silky richness caressed, pure ambrosia. Years later, in a Paris bistro, I found its rival. Fragrant and flavorful, but not an epiphany like that first sensuous spoonful. Late fall, Monona Bay. Fall is here, the coots confirm it. Hundreds descend on Monona Bay and the lake beyond, clucking, cackling, grunting, floating, swimming, diving, gulping. They amuse us as they skitter and flap across the water, clumsily attaining liftoff. A month passes. Lulled by a late Indian summer, we linger. Arctic air sweeps in. Temperature plummets. Rafting together for protection, plump black bodies bob, become still, feet captured in quick-forming crystals. Weather warms, ice softens, some birds escape, most too weak, others frostbitten. Winter ensnares, first snowfall hides tragedy. This next poem is a villanelle. Most of you are probably familiar with the most famous example of a villanelle, Dylan Thomas's "Do Not Go Gentle into That Good Night." It's a 6-stanza, 19-line poem. It uses just 2 rhymes throughout and gains momentum by repetition. Sailing down the inland waterway. While sailing down the inland waterway, our faithful sloop, just big enough for 2, my love, though ever near, seemed far away. At average pace of 50 miles each day, we envied swift-winged geese as south they flew, while sailing down the inland waterway. From first faint light to fickle sun's last ray, we labored on, for distance slowly grew. My love, though ever near, seemed far away. Weeks passed, winds warmed, first glimpse of dolphin spray. November gray replaced by tropic hue while sailing down the inland waterway. Our mood turned gay, a hidden tension lay beneath our easy talk. Topics taboo, my love, though ever near, seemed far away. What secret longings might my eyes betray when wondering whether we should say adieu? While sailing down the inland waterway, my love, though ever near, seemed far away. Cleaning house. Thrilled at last to be retired and never ever be required to wear a business suit or rise at 6 a.m. to darken skies, I said goodbye to piles of clothes and threw away confining hose. Slacks and shirts, scarves and tops, I gave to thrifts and homeless shops. I viewed my closet with delight, so sparse and spare, so clean and bright, until I turned and way up high, forgotten items caught my eye. I wondered why I didn't choose to rid myself of all those shoes. I counted more than 30 pairs of high heels worn to fine affairs. A memory from years gone by, seductive sight, I can't deny, in low-cut top and mini skirt, with 4-inch heels that didn't hurt. My mood went through a downward shift. I must confess I felt adrift, lost in thoughts of younger me and times that could no longer be. I shook myself, a fool. Determinedly, I grabbed a stool, cleared dusty boxes one by one, inspecting each, sparing none, until the vexing shoes were cast into 3 plastic bags tied fast, except the lovely bridal pair stored with a dress I'll never wear. Culinary concerto. Work late, rush home, pull on jeans, compose a quick and boring meal, using proven pantry staples, a dozen choices close at hand, easy as piano pieces, memorized and played for years. Garlic, basil, prego, pasta, onions, peppers, black beans, rice, trout with lemon, carrots, peas, steak, potatoes, salad greens, and variations on those themes produced in hurried 6/8 time. Now I sift through shelves of cookbooks, adagio, not capriccio, trying duck with pork-soaked cherries, cumin-scented Cornish hens, pork loin stuffed with apricots, minted marinated lamb. Before deciding the motif, I pick a wine I want to savor. Hearty, hedonistic Zin, steely Oak Chardonnay, pretty Pinot, super Tuscan. Let the wine dictate the dish. Like Gilberto's one-note samba, playing just notes I knew. Cooking used to be so simple, till my tastes and knowledge grew. My next poem is in the form of a Petrarchan sonnet. Many sonnets are love poems, but I think you'll agree that this one is not. Good behavior. My mother taught me always to be nice. She told and showed the proper way to act, with sweetness, kindness, sympathy, and tact. For years, I freely followed her advice and saw how being pleasant did suffice to smooth my way in life and to attract both friends and flames. It also did exact a price. In love, my asset became vice. I failed to voice my needs or share my fears and knew not how to handle honest strife. I grasped this lack of candor served to quell true closeness, so determined o'er the years to learn new ways to be a forthright wife. My husband says I mastered them too well. Autumn Fern Circle. What a strange street name, I think, as we view the lot where we'll build our new home. The autumn fern of my imagination changes color in the fall. This plant still heads unfurl burnt orange in spring, mature to a lustrous green, and thrive in shade. Not much of that in our new Florida neighborhood. Other streets have cheerful summer names: sunflower, hibiscus, hydrangea, most already filled with houses, bikes, and basketball hoops. My husband says this house will be our last. So I abide autumn fern, repeating the name, patiently spelling AUPUMN for doctor's offices on the phone. And with that, I pass it off to Carol. Thank you very much for your kind attention.
Carol, are you there? And are you unmuted?
There, I'm unmuted.
Okay, welcome.
Thank you. All righty, I am Carol Sundberg, and I'm going to read 8 of my poems today. The first one is called Mail Order Shopping. Thumbing through Bloomingdale's out of this world holiday catalog, I find just the right knees. Page 34. Yes, I'll take a pair. And these ankles peeking beneath that black chiffon hem. Add them to the list. A bare flat midriff. Just the ticket instead of this round belly of mine. What luck. I'm finding everything I need. Page 57, tapered fingers, flawless nails. Yes to item number 6202. A shimmery head of platinum hair. Goodbye, gray. Goodbye, mousy brown. A patrician nose, an affirmative jaw. This order blank is nearly full. But wait, how to choose between tan skin on 83 and the creamy complexion of 94? And let's be serious, no wrinkles. You will never find wrinkles in these pages. Eyes. I scrutinize for the appropriate pair. Back to page 1. Nothing here, nor there on 8, nor pages 10, 17. No, no thank you to insipid stares. Don't eyes betray what lie behind them? Their souls are surely hiding here. Perhaps page 36 or 54. Searching, soul searching through Bloomingdale's Out of This World holiday catalog. Best Friends, August 1941. We practiced our swing set routine all morning, running out the back door, past the lilacs, jumping on our swing seat. Hers the red one, mine the blue. With legs pumping, we swung as high as we could, then hung by our knees from the bar at the top. When we were ready, Dad started the camera. We dashed from the house in our sunsuits, Sharon in front of me. She jumped on my blue seat instead of her own, started pumping her legs. Flustered, I grabbed the chain to stop her. She ignored me, curly hair flying, beaming her brown-eyed smile into the lens. I had to let go, had to get on her swing seat, had to pump hard to catch up. I made myself smile into the camera during all our practice tricks, caught forever on 16mm film. Don't spoil your man. Don't spoil your man. He'll leave the newspapers in a heap. He'll expect you to get up from the table for the salt and pepper. Don't spoil your man. He'll drop his clothes on the floor. He'll eat the last banana and finish the cookies. Don't spoil your man. Unless you like it when he fixes your bicycle's flat tire and checks the oil in the car, keeps the gas tank full. As a spoiled man, he pays the bills and doesn't question your Visa charges or raise the roof when you've lost the receipts. Go ahead and spoil your man. He'll call to see if you need any groceries on his way home. He'll eat every meal you cook, even the flops. And he'll tell you that after 52 years, he'd marry you all over again. Radish sandwiches. He often reminisced about his first grade buddy inviting him home for lunch. Sandwiches with butter and sliced radishes on Wonder Bread. 40 years later, she made them for him. Sliced radishes, mustard, mayo, arugula on sourdough. No, these aren't right. Another day, pita bread filled with cream cheese, pickled red onions, sliced daikon radishes. Wrong again. Finally, simply sliced radishes with butter on whole wheat. She drew the line at Wonder Bread. No wonder she never got it right. In tandem, we watched as they skimmed along the path on a bicycle built for two, identical in black pants and yellow shirts, 2 bumblebees buzzing by. He sat in front. Picture him with a clear view of stalking egrets, palm fronds graceful as ballerinas, coursing clouds. All this was his, while breezes gentled his face. Now see her, deprived, pedaling and back, her face immersed in the gold of his shirt. But wait, perhaps she dreamed fields of daffodils, a dazzling sunrise after the rosy glow has dimmed, or the honey yellow of a single kernel of corn exploding its summer sweetness. Odd numbers. Think of pairs, roller skates, water skis, sandals, socks. They come out even. 3 couples arrive at her door. The table is set for 7, an odd number. Glasses are raised in a toast. They delight recalling past dinners, 8 of them together. She used to be part of a pair. Is she now odd, like 1 roller skate, 1 sock? Afterwards, outside, podocarpus thrive, thick and lush, planted for yoga practice privacy. Inside, filmy curtains hang open, ceiling to floor. The bedroom shows every sign of normalcy. It's been 17 months. Some of his striped shirts still hang in our closet. A few ties and belts, khaki pants. The blue blazers are gone. His playful green eyes gone. His singular smile gone. Moving to his side of the bed seems natural now. Did he suspect I'd take his place, inhabit his space, hugging his pillows, waiting, waiting, waiting to fall asleep? Planning our family dinner. Amy's family is gluten-free. Homemade crunchy baguettes are out of the question. John dislikes fish and rosy pink beef. Son Rudy wants his steaks rare, seared on the outside, red on the inside. Adrian prefers desserts without chocolate. It revs the children up before bedtime. Anne and Rolf are vegans. Their food is plant-based. Put away the cheese, the butter, the cream. It's time to savor this plant-based Pinot Noir while I figure out the menu. Thank you for listening. And thank you, Don, for including me in your poetry writing group. Special thanks to Georgia Court, proprietor of Bookstore 1 Sarasota. Next is our wonderful poet, Liz Pozen.
Hi, everyone. Thank you, Carol. Thanks to Georgia for making this happen. Thank you, everyone, for coming. I wish we could all meet in person. Wouldn't that be wonderful? Maybe next year. I thought I would read a few poems from my new book, Salami. That really is the name of the book. And then a few more recent poems. The first poem is called Crash Course. When I realized my daughter was going to college, really leaving, not like an extended sleepover, I worried to near panic that I had not given her essential life lessons and embarked on a crash course. Was she aware of the danger of combining water and electricity? My daughter said she was glad I told her this, as she had been planning to throw her hairdryer into the bathtub. How about not wearing billowing clothes near an open flame? What flame, since you never taught me to cook? She replied, rolling her eyes. Well, did she know never to help move furniture for a stranger with a van? Mom, she said, I saw that movie. Reluctantly, I stopped then, recognizing defeat, seeing I was way too late, knowing with sudden clarity and pain that I could no longer protect her and possibly never really did, hoping she would forgive me in time. The next poem was written because in pre-COVID times, friends and I would gather for breakfast at a local cafe where mostly everybody around us was multiply pierced and heavily tattooed. And I wondered what they were thinking of us. So it's called At the Cafe. There they are at the back booth again, talking and laughing nonstop. People that old shouldn't talk so much. And what is there to laugh about at their age? Is one of them really wearing a sweater set and get out a brooch? What, is she going to tea with the queen? That one with a streak in her hair and dangling earrings. Does she honestly believe anyone will notice? Hey, chubby lady, your roots are showing. Time for Miss Clairol, duh. OMG, I think they're talking about sex. Totally gross, I might throw up. Nana says, when I am her age, I will understand more about life. Whatever. So here are some new poems. I think most of us have been writing something about the pandemic. So here are three of my offerings. Pandemic number one. Dante had his circles of hell. Johnny Cash had his ring of fire. I have my parabola of chocolate. It is on the floor by the chair where I sit reading book after book, bits of brown, almost blending with the carpet, dropped perhaps when the eager journalist walked into a trap, the motherless writer found love, or the artistic detective relaxed. The debris accumulates as I daily tell myself I will clean, even polish, though that day is yet to come. Why leave this chair when going out for groceries can be life-threatening? Why not just sit here and contemplate the characters in those books? I might picture the detective's apartment near the church in a quaint village, the light inside falling on his drawings, as the light here in this apartment falls on my Newman's dark chocolate peanut butter cups. Here's another pandemic poem. And I wanted to write this because I've been worried about the effect this time is having on young children and how they're suffering, how they'll process it, what will happen to them. So here's pandemic number 4. I asked my 6-year-old granddaughter why she is thinking of getting married. You can do all sorts of things together, she replies. You can take walks together. You can have meals together. You can swing together. And you can go down the slide together laughing. Now, I go down the slide not laughing because I'm alone. She and her family are refugees, having fled the city for the country, isolated not by foreign customs or a language barrier, but by an unseen threat. There are no playmates at the rented house. School is becoming a distant memory. The toys that surround her, the comforter tucked around her at night, belong to another girl. When we play, I find that her magic powers, which could defeat all evil forces before, now fail her sometimes. She cannot always save her imaginary friends or herself. As our game ends, she tells me the bad guys have left only 2 children in the whole world and will be coming for her soon. This is the last pandemic poem I'll read today. I find myself writing about love, misplaced love, imperfect love, unrequited love, and about longing for connection, recognition, relevance, recalling those I loved, those whose love I yearned for, those whose love nourished, and perhaps even saved me, those I loved and lost, as they say, which may be what one does at my age, looking back over a long journey, love being the scenic spots, pit stops, way stations on the map of this trip, extra fuel required at some more than others. Or it may be due to the isolation required now, all of us inside with a partner if we are lucky, missing so many, missing parts of ourselves that emerge only when we are with those absent. It occurs to me that what I've been most of my life, my essence, if you will, has gone unused, is in storage. That nurturing part so called upon and rebelled against is waiting, waiting. The next poem I wrote after reading the much beloved children's book Eloise with my grandchildren, and I found to my surprise that I thought it was really a story about neglect, maybe even abandonment, and it made me very sad. And so I started to wonder about what would happen to Eloise as she grew up. So this is called Epilogue for a Classic. Changes were made after a plaza guest reported Eloise's mother to social services for neglect. Her mother traveled less, but was just as distant, resenting her loss of freedom. More tutors were engaged to keep Eloise from riding the elevators, running down the corridors, and strict orders were issued against putting water down the mail chute. Distraught at the mounting household tensions, Nanny returned to her family in Britain. After some time, Eloise was dispatched to a prestigious boarding school where she excelled at French, but was twice suspended for inciting her classmates to mischief and mayhem. After college, junior year in France, Eloise held a number of jobs, mostly in hotel management, but nothing lasted. Feeling an inner emptiness, she considered joining an ultra-religious sect, hoping the copious rules of behavior would help organize her. Eloise found her current therapist on the Upper West Side through friends. This is another new poem called Sleep. I think a lot of people at my age can relate to this, at least I hope so. The last good night's sleep I had was over 20 years ago when we visited friends in the mountains up north. We had a lovely day of walking in the woods, feeding fish in the pond, eating cookies on the porch, then took the bottom bedroom where the sheets were rank from the last guests, the dark so absolute with the lamps off, we could barely find each other, and the biting cold made us surrender, shivering, to the quilts with a kind of abandon. The unbroken sleep felt weighted, a stone dropped to the bottom of a primeval lake, an utter absence. This friendship is now gone, signs of its dissolution already there all those years ago if one was looking. But on that night, replete with chocolate and covered by down, I slept, not like the dead, but like someone fully alive. And the last poem I'd like to read is the poem that gave the title to my book, Salami. Have I told you about salamis? They were important in our family a while back. My grandmother sent every visitor home with a salami for the enervating trip back to the suburbs or the next block. My grandfather had them smuggled into the sanitarium and hid them under his pajamas. Much of what my uncle wrote from the war in Europe was redacted by censors, but his repeated pleas made it through. "Where's the salami?" he wrote. "You promised to send me salamis." Now, only my sister honors this tradition by snacking on a piece of Hebrew National, maybe with a slice of cheddar. I sense your scorn, your censure, but isn't prosciutto with brie a close cousin, separated only by several tax brackets? I thought salamis were only of the world of Jewish immigrants, a nod to what they ate, when they ate at all, in the old country, until our French friends served little salamis with such a fancy name that just saying it felt like a flirtation. So what is it with salamis, you might ask? Perhaps the salami is our family totem, imbued with traits we cherish. Setting aside the obvious phallic part, we might note a certain robustness, a chewy, ruminative turn of mind, a pungent pugnacity, a spit in the eye of all cholesterol counters. Come to think of it, a salami might make a good weapon. Thanks very much, everyone. I leave it to you, Don.
Very good.
I am the hug you didn't get. The bosom soft embrace, the rugged chest bump that didn't press your heart. There are no arms to sweep you up like Dad's when he came home. No kiss like Mother gave to take away the hurt. I am the hug you didn't give, the distance that you kept so breath and sweat and sneeze could find no path to hand and lip and lung. You stayed away just like they said, your arms slack at your side. Broadway is dark and baseball has no opening day. Airplane seats fly empty. On their walks, masked neighbors are specters on the street. Purell pump stands sentinel at the door. I am the hung you do not get just when you need me most. Thank you for joining us this afternoon. These poems invite you to see through our words. Imagine with me our lives as a clear glass bowl, a receptacle there, waiting on the living room table, collecting places in politics, holidays and COVID, Black lives, my life, your life, spouses and kids, dogs and death. Those irregular, disjointed scraps of joy, lunacy, love, night, terrors, all of it colored by our youth and our aging. This reading is like that. These poems dropped into your afternoon. Something now that's upbeat, even jolly, perhaps reminiscent of the basket on your side table. The holiday letter. Camouflaged in holiday cards come missives from the annual bards. They bring us news and sometimes views that may amaze, amuse, confuse the unsuspecting mailbox getter, reader of the holiday letter. Often pictures, mostly prose. How do they choose what they expose? The births and deaths and college choices, sports awards, cherubic voices. Kids are perfect, health is great. One has found an ideal mate. They've traveled to some scenic dell or sometimes had the trip from hell. New grandparents who boast out loud that reproduction makes them proud. It's not all joy. Sometimes there's doubting, true confessions, subtle outing. She's been hurt, he's addicted, painful cries of souls conflicted, deaths of hamsters, goldfish flushed, mixed in with the holiday wishes. These letters yearly rites of pen, or Facebook for the older gen. Yet I confess I love this craft of telling stories, quaint and daft. It makes me happy. Here's the reason. I'd love to hear from you each season. This year, I am focusing my new writing on the unearned privilege of being white and male in the 21st century. Whiteville. In my high school class were 623 white kids and one black girl. Pictures in the yearbook. My college class had 2 black guys. They didn't join our fraternity. About Trayvon, Obama said, if I had a son, he'd look like that. My son wears a hoodie, but he's white. There are no black families in our neighborhood. None in my writing group. One black woman works in our tech company. What does she feel like? I don't know what it is to be black. I don't even know what it is to be white. Angry. Why are we so angry? And what can we learn about it from our animals? Nose to nose. Her lip curls, his back is up. Frozen, face off, concentration mirrored. Dog and skunk locked on each other, locked in place. A whisker twitch from explosion. In traffic, one car drifts, clips another. They stop. Words, one jumps the other's hood, bangs windshield, grips wipers. The other drives off. Bang, bang, fast, slow. Bang, bang, fast, slow. In the yard, dog and skunk quiver. Appraise. Eyes still locked. Then each steps back. The dog comes when she's called. The skunk carries on rooting for grubs. 3 miles down the road, both men are arrested. In the last year, 373,000 Americans have died from COVID. Every one of them had a mom and dad. Most of them had a spouse. Woman in a straw hat. She sits by herself at the left end of the bench. The seat faces the bay, where sunshine pairs water and sky in blue calm. She doesn't look there, but down towards her hands, folded in her lap. White hair is gathered into a tidy bun below her straw hat. Its brim rounds up like a worn smile. She wears a blue and white plaid shirt that is too big and is collared for a man's neck. Tide and clouds drift, unbidden, without hurry. Sun warms the tender place at the back of her neck, where the hair is lifted. On the bench, her body leans to the right, as if towards a shoulder. There have been and will be again moments of pure joy. In the video, the dog quivers, leaps into the ball's arc, into the pool. A hard tail swoosh, and she heads to the steps. Surely the black lips smile around the yellow ball. Click the video panel. Reverse that tracker to the moment of launch. Forelegs stretch, rear legs extend, ears lift, eyes lock on the splash of her target. That's it. That leap of untethered joy. Freeze it. Save this digital pulse. It can restart the heart. The solstice was just 20 days ago. The sun now shines a little longer every day, but the rest of winter lies ahead. Winter solstice 2020. Like a gray wave flooding ashore, winter spills over the solstice. Holiday lights brighten the door, but greet no family. Virus swirls, ballots churn, and justice skitters like a candy wrapper blown down the beach. Unfelt, the great tilt of earth reverses and begins its nursling suckle on the sun. Underground, seeds prepare to swell and root. We know the flood must ebb. Not yet, though. Ahead, the shy bird of calm flies on. She does not rest. Finally, a love poem about the lives we've lived and are living together. Ascent. At the top, after the climb, through woolly furs, sway meadow grass, and towards the summit, rocky scree, we stand, hold hands, so much expressed, so little said. Thank you, fellow poets, Bookstore One, and Zooming guest. We hope you found a word or phrase that helps you with these awkward days, a sound that makes your ear feel kissed or belly laugh at some quick twist, a rhyme that cuts through tweets and chatter to show how much words really matter. Georgia?
Well, thank you. Thank you all. That was an absolutely lovely reading, and I can see people applauding. Before we go to Q&A, because I want to invite you to do that, and because I know people tend to drift off during the Q&A, I want to let you know what's happening next with poetry at the bookstore and on Zoom, of course. On Wednesday, January 13th at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, that's our next poetry book club that's led by Doug Knowlton. And this month we're discussing A Map of the Lost World, and you can get that book at Bookstore One. And then the next PoetryMic reading will be February 7th, which is a Sunday at 2 o'clock. And the readers will be Ben Highland, Tom Malik, Fred Zerm, and Richard Hollis. Okay, right now I would like to invite you, being mindful there are a lot of us on the screen, to unmute if you have a question you'd like to ask any of our poets or comment that you'd like to make about the reading. Anyone, just speak up and your image will show up.
I enjoyed them all. Thank you very much. It was really very, very enjoyable. Carol, and my friend Carol. But to all of you, it was a great time. Thank you.
I was touched. I cried. I laughed. It was absolutely wonderful. I enjoyed all of you. You're wonderfully talented. And it's true what Don said. Words matter.
Could you identify yourself? I'm sorry, we have some.
I'm sorry, I'm Phyllis Blonstein, and I'm on Pacific time, so I'm not quite dressed.
Oh.
Well, I would like to thank all the poets. This is Joel Fried. Specifically the ones about salami, which took me right back to the Upper West Side roots of my childhood. And the last reader who, you know, the privilege that I did not earn by being born a male and white. Definitely food for thought. I wrote that one down. Very good. It was just, it's wonderful to see everybody live and to listen to people's minds work. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
I loved the whole thing. I loved every reading. You were all terrific.
And this is Linda Robiner. I can see her on the screen. Other comments? Any comments from the poets themselves? Anything they'd like to say?
Well, Georgie, you're a wonderful member of this community, not just the poetry community and not just the literary community, but the whole community of Sarasota. We're very privileged to have you here, and thank you for all you do.
Well, thank you, Don. Thank you for saying that. Thank you to all the poets who were here. And I'll just ask one more time if anybody else wants to say anything. If not, we will.
George, I just would like to add, if I could, if you can hear me, I'm up in West Virginia, and you've warmed my afternoon up here. It's about 20 degrees, and it was delightful to see you all again.
Great. Well, we miss you down here.
I thank you.
Okay. Well, if there are no more comments, I just want to say thank you for coming out this afternoon. It was an absolute delight. A lot of wonderful poetry to listen to, and what a pleasure to listen to this kind of poetry after the week we've all been through.
Yes.
Wasn't that a refreshing set of words compared to what we're seeing on TV? So thank you very much. Thank you.
Thanks, Joel. Bye.
Bye-bye.